Hi friends, it's Jess with Our Bipolar. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, just a little bit about me. I have bipolar 1 and I was diagnosed 26 years ago when I was a sophomore in college. Today we're going to talk about something I think probably all of us with bipolar disorder do, and that's masking. But before we get into that, I will ask you to please subscribe to my channel, like this video, comment, share this video if you feel like you want to do that. And you can also connect to me on social media. I'm on Instagram and Facebook as well. I saw this quote about masking, and they're actually talking about having migraine, but I think it really fits with having bipolar disorder as well. I have never once faked being sick, but I have faked being well. So basically, when we are trying to mask our symptoms, maybe we are trying to show the world that we don't have bipolar disorder, or maybe it's with people who know that we have it, but we're trying to mask that we're having symptoms and sort of just show everyone that we're doing well and managing it very well. But, of course, that is not always the case. Now, masking is something we do, and I think we have a right to do it. And sometimes it is just more convenient to put on a good face, even if we're having symptoms. Maybe we're having light symptoms, maybe we're having pretty bad symptoms. When we're out in public or around family and friends, sometimes there's this expectation to act normal and to act like we're not having symptoms. People who don't have bipolar disorder, they do this as well, right? This happens all the time where you kind of pretend to be doing better than you are. Someone asks you how you're doing and you say fine, but really you're not fine. You're having the most horrible day ever. It is something that everyone does, but with bipolar disorder, it happens way more, and I see this all over social media being talked about. So what are some other reasons that we mask our symptoms or just having bipolar disorder? So some of them that I thought of that I've actually done myself is to stay employed. That's an important thing. Also to get a job, we want to appear like we are not going to be problematic. To stay out of the hospital. I know sometimes people will mask their symptoms to their psychiatrist because they're afraid of being hospitalized. There's all sorts of reasons. Shame could be another reason. And so how do we do this? Let's get into the nitty-gritty. I'm going to talk about some of the ways I mask, and some of it is with my appearance. If I'm having mania or depression, I try to clean myself up, right? I'll put on makeup, I will try to dress conservatively or just look nice and not kind of look like a mess. Some people say oh, there's a way to look bipolar by the way you dress or the way you present yourself. So of course I'm gonna go way away from anything that might look, I don't know, really kind of creative in terms of dressing or out there. I'm also not going to put on a ton of makeup because that's not my usual thing. In terms of if I'm having manic symptoms, hypomania, I will probably try not to talk as much as I want to and just sort of keep everything in. So I'll talk a whole lot less because I have the tendency to overshare when I'm hypomanic or manic, and that could signal to someone that I'm having those symptoms. Now, I'll probably do the opposite if I'm depressed. So if I'm depressed, I might try to look more awake or alert, try to appear more happy, smiling, laughing at people's jokes, maybe making some jokes if I can, because I'm just trying to give you the exact opposite of what I'm actually feeling. Now, there are going to be times when we can't mask, right? At least, with bipolar 1, there's the chance of having mania, full-blown mania, psychosis. I've also experienced that. And I have a video that you could probably look back at if you're more interested from my first Manic episode. I'll link it up above here. But I think it becomes harder the further you go into mania and with psychosis to mask. I'm not saying it can't be done. I've done it to some extent. I've never attempted to mask psychosis, but you know, I'm sure there are people out there who have done it, but I do believe it would become much more difficult. I know for me, I would have trouble just sitting still, things like that. But what I do right now, especially in work meetings, I have to tell myself, and I do this to some extent when I'm not having symptoms, but I have to tell myself to not be so twitchy and like itchy and like just moving a lot, because I know it can start to look like something's going on there. Maybe people aren't sure what, but I don't want to raise any suspicions. Masking can really take a toll on us. I know I find it to be exhausting. I don't like when I have to pretend to be someone I'm not. I don't like how that makes me feel. And I also just don't like doing it. It's hard to do. It can be a way that we are protecting ourselves, and I think we have a right to do that, but it is exhausting, and it's so much better when we can be ourselves. And if we're having symptoms and we're around people who care about us, people who love us, you know, close friends, family, and we can just be ourselves, symptoms or not. That's such a freeing feeling. And we need to have people like that we trust, so that we can be ourselves and also get the help we need. Because if we are going around masking all the time, especially around people closest to us, you know, they may miss cues and they may miss the opportunity to reach out to us, or maybe we need to be hospitalized. Things like that are really important, that we get the help we need. So I'm sure there's a lot more we can say about masking. You know, like I said, we all do it, bipolar or not. So please tell me down in the comments, you know, why do you mask and how do you do it? And do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing? Both? Let me know what you think. Well, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.